Another exciting episode of Speculative Tolkienism.
As a child, I was confused, like, why the pool was forbidden. Like, it's just a, because I compared it actually in my little wee child brain to, like, the Mirror of Galadriel. And the Mirror of Galadriel is like another body of water, a pool of water, as it were. And it's magical, and it's forbidden because she's like, don't touch the water.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, ooh, another pool that's also forbidden that you're not supposed to touch or go near. And I thought, ooh, it has this enchantment. It's magical. And I was kind of confused as to like why that was the case. But now I realize the only reason that it's actually forbidden is for like tactical military purposes, like not to give away the fact that they've got a bunch of rangers hiding in there.
Well, particularly since the fall of Osgiliath, right?
Osgiliath, yeah. They're almost doing this crazy like attrition warfare against the orcs at this point. Henathanan being one of their hideouts, and they have to protect it. So,
like, if you were to make it to the forbidden pool, it's kind of like, all right, it's only so a matter of time before you discover what's up here, so you might as well die. When I was like younger, I was like, that's a little bit extreme, isn't it?
But it's actually the second time that Faramir has threatened death. Like, it is death to come, because before, like when they first met Frodo and Sam, they're like, oh, it's death to walk around these parts unbidden without. And
they could have pulled the whole hippie thing, like, dude, it's the land, it's free, bro.
Right, dude. We got bare feet. We could walk wherever we want on God's green earth.
We're more in tune to the land than you are. Why are you putting up fences to keep us out, man? And keep
like,
Mother
I'm looking
Nature
at the ground
in.
right here. I'm looking at the ground here in what do you call this? Athelion. I'm not seeing any borders. I'm not seeing any lines. Those are drawn by men. They're just
I'm thinking that song
on a map.
Signs everywhere, signs. No.
Sam's like, telling him, "Oh, don't give me any sauce." Basically, Sam got upset because like Faramir was interrogating Frodo, and Faramir shot back, and he's like, "Patience, but without anger. Do not speak before your master, whose wit is greater than yours." Blah blah blah. I might have slain you long ago, for I am commanded to slay all whom I find in the land without leave of the Lord of Gondor. He has to slay all who come into the land without leave of the King of Gondor, or the Lord of Gondor. What were you gonna say?
It's like, well, can I point over there? Don't point. Well, can I look over there? No, don't even look.
Get the camera off of it.
Yeah,
get the camera.
Your life's at forfeit. No, anyway.
No, but it's like it seems like smart ass Sam should be like, dude, is there anywhere we can like stand in this country?
Yeah, so pretty much everything's off limits. And the Gondorians being such neighborly people. You're
no, but everything's off limits, and it's death to approach anywhere unbidden, and yet Faramir keeps not enforcing that rule.
Well, I mean, this
is the second time he doesn't enforce the death to all rule, and it just shows his character, like he doesn't apply the rule by the letter of the law, but he like applies it based on the context or whatever.
Well, it'd be really funny if you cut the thing short. It's like, oh no, your answers aren't satisfactory. Death to you. Shank him.
He presses a button and boom, off you go. Yeah. But speaking of things rhyming, like here we have a scene where he's saying, "Oh, it's death to come here." He already says it's death to come to Athelion in general. There was another scene where. When Sam first kind of woke up and saw that Frodo wasn't there,
right,
and he follows Frodo and Faramir, and Sam's sitting there and it's like freezing cold and they're staring out the window thing, and Sam's like, "It's a fine view, no doubt, Mr. Frodo, but chilly to the heart, not to mention the bones. What's going on?" Like he's basically complaining, like, why did you wake me up and I'm freezing my ass off to show me this pretty view or whatever?
Yeah.
And Faramir's, he's like, it's worth a few shivers, but that's not what I brought here to see. Though as for you, Samwise, you were not brought and do but pay the penalty of your watchfulness. What does that remind you of?
Oh, that's what do you call it? The Council of Elrond.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. Like,
Yeah,
oh, yet again, you're not actually welcome here.
yeah,
Oh, and he did it again in the pool of Galadriel.
yeah. It's like,
The mirror of
he
sorry,
should have been like, and you are
yeah, Galadriel, the mirror of Galadriel. He's like just tagging along. It's like, hey, we didn't invite you, bro.
right. But I mean, it makes things so much more interesting because again, I think what we're seeing here now is like we have now Sam is our avatar for
Basically,
the reader. Yeah. So
yeah.
he has to tag along, you know.
I didn't
So
really realize when I was a kid how much he was the main character. You know, I mean, I eventually did, but like, I was like a Frodo fan.
yeah, everyone is a Frodo fan
Yeah.
until you realize, like, Frodo. No, actually, Frodo's like I've actually like softened. I there was a time like a few um really before we started reading this, where it's like I don't know if Frodo's actually really the guy that we all think he is,
Right.
but it actually like reading it a little bit more critically, it's like I don't have a problem with Frodo. He's doing what he has to do.
Yeah.
That's like he is a catalyst, and he is a catalyst. I guess I don't know if that's
Yeah.
correct, but Sam is definitely the protagonist. You
Right.
know,
I mean, if it were up to
because
just Sam, this ring would have never gotten destroyed. It's like
think about
it took Frodo's wit, and when Frodo failed, Sam was able to kind of fill in the gaps.
but even on Mount Doom, when Frodo takes off to go to Sammath Noir, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Um, you don't follow Frodo in. It's you're following Sam.
Oh,
You
right,
know,
right. That's interesting. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway,
Anyway,
that's for a
interesting.
future discussion.
Yes.
Um,
Well, I think the kernel of this story, or the kernel of this chapter, is this question of whether it's right to slay Gollum, even though Sam would like to slay Gollum. I never noticed it though. This question of like, oh, here he is. It's death to enter this pool. I never noticed before that Gollum actually, you hear him talking to himself,
yeah.
and Gollum says, I want to slay them." In this case, meaning definitely the men, but probably Frodo and Sam as well. He
Right, right,
says,
right.
"They steal my precious, nasty men. They'll take it, steal my precious." So
Yeah, yeah.
he suspects, oh, these big guys are going to take the ring from Frodo. Thieves, we hates them. Fish, nice fish, makes us strong. So he's eating
Yeah,
fish. So
yeah.
he's like trying to build his strength for this impending attack. Like after reading it this time, you kind of almost sense like, okay, he's trying to make some last ditch effort to get the ring, because he knows now that the men will take the ring. So he's like, oh, I'm going to eat these fish. It'll make me strong, make my eyes bright, fingers tight.
Yeah,
Yes, I'll
yeah.
throttle them, precious. So it's like he's going to throttle these men and take the ring from the men, or maybe even from Frodo and Sam, if the Frodo and Sam, as they do,
I
still have
mean, you got to hand it to him. He doesn't suffer for a lack of ambition. You know what I'm
it.
saying?
Exactly. He's an ambitious little guy. They would be, I mean, it would justify them killing him more,
Yeah.
knowing that he wants to kill them. But even still, they like Frodo refrains from
Right,
slaying.
right. But but Frodo's the only one who hears this, right?
Um.
Because Frodo,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I guess
because
you're right. Yeah, Frodo crept forward using his hands, Gollum-like, to
yeah,
feel his way and to steady himself. So it's like he's kind of almost becoming Gollum. Definitely,
yeah,
like again, this is Tolkien creating this strange identity between Frodo and Gollum. Frodo is the one that saves him by interceding on his behalf and sticking up for
yeah,
him and basically saving his life. He creeps forward, basically becoming Gollum here, creeping forward Gollum like. And then you're right. So I guess he hears this
yeah.
hissing
So
murmur. I guess the other guys don't, but I don't think it would have mattered.
No,
But still,
well,
you
it might have,
yeah.
because again, like Faramir might
If
not have
he
been,
had heard it,
yeah,
yeah. Well,
it might not have been as not forgiving,
yeah. Oh,
but
you're right. No, I think he might not have been so forgiving
because
in such a case.
the one thing too that again, I know we're jumping around, but this kind of like this paragraph here, kind of, what we're talking about Faramir is like he had Frodo cut Gollum's bond. So like Gollum was like, basically, hey, we're gonna watch you, but you're not tied up. Like at
Right.
the end of the chapter. Um,
Well, actually, there was a moment where Gollum misunderstood it. He gave him the knife to cut the bonds,
yeah,
and Gollum was like, "Oh no, they're going to stab me."
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he freed him, and but that's what I'm saying. So like, but if Faramir would have heard this little tirade, he might have been like, you know what, you're gonna stay in bondage for the,
Yeah,
you
right.
know,
He definitely wouldn't have.
because I don't want you coming and throttling all my men in their sleep.
Right, right.
All 700 of
So
us
what's
that
this
are in
thing you
this
said
cave.
about throttling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was a kid, reading this, like I always felt, or I always like felt that this was a chapter that like Gollum, like, well, Frodo betrayed Gollum, obviously, like, or for lack of he didn't betray him, but it felt enough like a betrayal that this was the chapter that Gollum turned. But what I'm saying is, like, if there was like any hope at all of Gollum kind of like, what am I doing? Why am I taking these hobbits to see Shelob, and
Right,
why are
right.
we, like, I think this kind of was a nail in the coffin, so to
Oh,
speak,
right, right, right.
of maybe Smeagol kind of triumphing,
Yeah. Well, no, it was Gollum's triumphing over Smeagol here.
right. But that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But
Yeah.
it could
Okay.
have been Smeagol had things
Oh, I see. Had things gone
different.
differently, yeah, Smeagol would have been like, "See, he is a nice hobbit, but no,
Yeah.
he had to betray me." So
But
that's
yeah,
cool.
but again, so but we know that back in the Dead Marshes, when the Nazgul was flying over, like that was like the change in Gollum that
Right.
started the wheels spinning, so to
Yeah,
speak.
it's just gotten
You
worse and
know?
worse for Smeagol,
Yeah,
and things keep happening to kind of give Gollum more reason to hate and
yeah. So
want
basically,
revenge.
Gollum is pretty much in full control at this point.
Right,
Smeagol is just
right.
kind of now like the mask, where and what it could have gone either way at one point. So
Yeah,
this is like the unfinished business chapter of Athelion. You know what I'm talking about? Like there's a lot of stuff that's happened in the last 2 or 3 chapters,
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's definitely like it's a reassessment before their final farewell to humans
Yeah.
and farewell to like civilized life. To it's from here. It's straight into Mordor, really.
Yeah, this is like the last time that they've actually, like, they haven't they're going to be in communication with anything other than orcs or Gollum.
Exactly. And I mean, it's quite a contrast because Faramir in this chapter comes across, and Frodo too, but as extremely like noble. That's
Yeah,
my
yeah,
biggest takeaway. Like we'll get to it, but their conversation is like, well, I guess I'll just mention it now. Um,
yeah,
like it's almost like one level of being noble is to not break a promise. There's this moment where he's like, on page 902.
right.
Yes, said Frodo, at least you must either accept his promise or carry out your law. You'll get no more. But I promised that if he came to me, he should not be harmed and I would not be proved faithless. So
Yes.
it's like he's trying to say, like, you know, I don't want me, you need to act so that whatever you do doesn't prove me to be a liar or something.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and then he kind of repeats that a few pages later where he's like, uh, he would not take it. He would follow after me as long as he had done. and I have promised many times to take him under my protection and to go where he led. You would not ask me to break faith with him. So it's like 2 times in this chapter, like he's for different occasions. He's like, you wouldn't, don't make me be a faithless person, or
Yeah,
don't make me
yeah.
break my promises or something.
Right.
And that just
Yeah.
shows like, not only does he not want to break his promise, but Faramir doesn't want to have someone else break his promise, to have someone else break his promise, which is like
Right.
even more noble of a thought process, I think.
Yeah. But this is like really, if as far as I can recollect, this is the only time that Frodo has made a direct oath, as it were, to take Smeagol under his protection.
Yeah.
Now, if you wanted to do the Smeagol thing, like Frodo could have been like, I said I'd take Smeagol under my protection. Gollum, on the other hand, you're on your own, buddy.
Clever, yeah. He should do
that.
Yeah.
But that is kind of like something that Gollum would do. It's like, oh, I never said anything about Gollum.
Right. That's
so
good.
As long as Smeagol's good, we're good. Gollum, on the other hand, he can go kick rocks.
Real quick, just to end it out, they say there's a little bit of a history of Minas Ithil here at the bottom of 905. It says, it is said that their lords were men of Numenor who had fallen into dark wickedness. To them the enemy had given rings of power.
Dun, dun, dun.
And he had devoured them. Living ghosts they were become. So speaking of rings of power.
Well, I know. It's finally here.
It's finally here.
Wait, has it been 2 years already?
It has. I can't believe it.
Have we been doing this for 2 years?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Off and on. We did have quite a long hiatus over the summer, but I think those days are
right.
We're back.